So let's begin creating our chairs. I'm going to target the background layer. I'm going to make a brand new layer right above here. I'm going to target my rectangular tool. And let's go ahead and change the color of this rectangular tool. How about if we give this kind of a light gray here? Okay, so rectangular vector. Now, I'm going to just draw the shape out. Okay, there. We can see our grids right above because it's right up here in our group called group 1. If we want to make it easier, we're going to call this one our vanishing point or vanishing lines. All right, now I'm going to target the rectangle tool. So with Command T for free transform, I'm going to start establishing where we're going to start this chair. So I'm going to utilize these red lines. Hold down the controller command key as a shortcut for distort. And I'm going to distort this so that all of these are going to start following these vanishing points. I'm going to make the seat of the chair a little bit thinner. Place this right about there. I'm going to follow now. You can see I'm slightly outside one of the lines. It doesn't matter. This is where you make a decision as to if you want to add more vanishing lines to help you. All right, so that's the side. That's the side of the seat, and we're going to commit our changes. Now we're going to create the other side of the seat. We're going to make it a little bit shorter, but again, I can create a new layer to keep this all separated just so it helps you to understand how vanishing points, how vanishing grids work. Just go ahead, add another one. Now this is nice because we can actually double click right here on the vector shape and then bring its richness down just a little bit so it differentiates itself from the other. So we're going to establish lighting. Hit the V key for the move tool, place it. You can get in a little closer if you like it. Hit the down arrow key if you need to. Now, Command T. We want to follow the vanishing grid. So, right here, looking at our green side now. Now we establish this. Now we're keeping the sides completely vertical. All right, if I need to get in closer, I can. And bring it straight on down. Keeping as vertical as possible. All right, so we're establishing the other side of the seat. There. Again, and this one right here, right up here, we can bring that down just slightly. And we'll make the seat a little bit thinner. And then we have one slight little problem is that this is not completely vertical. Command or Control for distort, and we'll make it completely vertical. Okay. All right. So we're establishing the seat. Now, how about the top of the seat? So we're going to have something that's going to, again, it's going to match that vanishing grid. All right, we have the red here, have this side coming across, and we're a little bit off, aren't we? Look at this. All right, there. That's not correct. So we hit Command T, or better yet, come right over here to your vector tools. Direct path selection tool, select the individual points and just pull it to match that grid, right? This one here also. So this is something you want to keep in mind. Match those lines as best as you can. And the lines aren't going to be really parallel. They're all merging to a point, but you're going to get as close as you can. Okay, now that's making sense. We're going to make sure that the other side is doing pretty well. Okay, we did accurately there. Let's go ahead and move this up a little bit more. Okay. There we are. Okay, let's establish the top of the chair. And I'm going to want that to be underneath these two layers. So I'm going to create a new layer right underneath them. Go ahead and establish probably a little brighter tonality here. Let's go with just a little bit brighter here and just pull out a rectangle. Okay. From there, go to our direct selection tool, and we're going to bring this down. We'll select these 2 points and just pull it. Let's get in a little closer. There we are. So we're thinking about the side of the seat. To there. Let's grab these 2 points. Remember, we're, matching that, perspective, determining where the back of the corner is going to be, and then we're going to create another one coming across. All right, we're matching this. It's going to be pretty tight here. So actually, it's going to come right across. Pretty tight visually. So let's go ahead and select these points. And just dragging. There we are. Okay. So if we are to just play with this shape, and again matching the green, from this angle, there we are. Okay, so from this angle, it's going to be pretty tight in here. If it becomes visually confusing, let's turn off the green lines. Let's come right up here to our vanishing grid, and let's turn off the green white lines, because right now we're trying to match the red lines. Let's go right back down here. Target it once again. There. Okay, it's matching pretty good. So it's matching the opposite side of the chair. So this side is following the red. This opposite side is also going to be following the red. And if we need to just pull this down and match it a little more accurately, we can. So we're going to go right about there approximately. Now I'm going to establish one more, which is going to be the sides of the seat. It's going to match this one right about there, which is going to be your green lines. So we're going to establish another one that comes across. It's going to be pretty tight. And we may even want to make this one just a little bit longer. Okay. And then this is going to come across and connect the back seat. Now I just turned on all the lines, so I'm going to select this one point right here in the bottom by itself. Use my arrow keys, and I'm going to show you a little bit of a trick here. So this is going to represent the top portion of the seat. I really would like this to be one continuous shape, and instead of making 2 separate shapes actually, which could work, but I would like one shape in case I want to decide to designate that single object as a gradient. Now, a slick little way to handle it is just come right over here to our pen tool, and we can simply just click here and click here to add 2 new points onto our shape. Now, I don't want the points to curve. In this case, I want this a fairly, boxy looking chair here. Come right over here, click and hold, grab the convert point tool, click on those points I just established, and it'll take away the handlebars that has been established with it there. Now, come over here to my direct selection tool, and we'll finish establishing the top of the seat. See? There. So that is what I was trying to accomplish. All right, so it doesn't really matter with the points we don't see behind, but there's the top of my seat. And I can modify it a little bit more if I like. You can see right over here that this should be matching the green. We go ahead and turn off the red. Okay, this should match the green, and it isn't. So I'm going to target this, and I can use my arrow tools to bring it on down there. Okay, and if I need to move it to a right a little bit, if I want to, just play around with it, you can see it's almost the same plane as the side of the chair, but not quite. So I'm going to bring this up. That matches a little bit better. So it's really, really tight here. Now let's establish the legs of the chair. I'm going to go ahead and turn both of these on. And let's just start with the corner here. Same procedures. Grab a rectangle. And I'm going to place these underneath. So to create a layer underneath the one that you have targeted, hold the controller command key, make a brand new layer. Now it makes one beneath where you were targeted, where you were located before. Now come over here. I'm going to go ahead and give this a slightly different color. Go up here to the bar. And how about if we go to a little darker gray like so. And let's go grab something like this. And I can alter it any time. I'll grab this one right over here. Okay, and that established something I didn't really want to. It's establish a preset. So I'm going to go back a little bit. All right, and then we're just going to go ahead and just grab our rectangle. And that is going to be one leg. There. Okay. Hit the V key. Move it where I want to. If the colors are too similar, you can change it. Double click here. Bring down the density a little bit, just so that you can get a little bit of a differentiation between what we're creating here. Now, if you can see, and this is why it's important that these lines always stay vertical, because if I come right over here, hit the Command R key, and we come over here and draw a vertical line, that's not straight, is it? Okay, a vertical guide there. So I can correct it, and it looks like it's coming from this shape, or both of those shapes. So target it, direct selection tool, select this point, move it to the left to match my vertical guide. Now that helps. Go get the other one, go simple, select it, and match the guide. Bring it up if we need to. There it is. So we do the same thing for the one on the bottom here. We're going to go right over here to the leg and select the shape. We're going to match what? The red lines, right? So if we turn off the green, to help you, select this point, and we're going to move it up. Okay. There. Okay. So we're getting those little messages because the new version of Photoshop allows us to change the corners of the rectangle, but we're telling it not to do so. Now, since this side is underneath the chair, we don't really care about this. We don't need to work on it. So let's go ahead and leave it as is. And click. There we go. Now we're starting to establish our leg of the chair. Now we go to the opposite side and do the same thing. Now we could just use this one, right? Just go ahead, Command J. Bring it on over. All right. Then let's change the color a little bit so we can differentiate the two. There. Grab our direct selection tool. And what perspective do we want to establish? We don't want the red lines, do we? We want the green lines. I want to pull this all the way up because we're not going to see it behind this. So if I come right over here, grab these 2 points, and all I'm going to do is use my little down arrow key and just match the corner right about there. I no longer want the red perspective. Let's go over here to the green perspective. So perspective line and turn off the reds. Now select the 1 point, and I can just use my little arrow key just to nudge it up. Now, since we're seeing it more at an angle, I'm also going to shorten the side here. So select these 2 points on the left-hand side and bring it in slightly. So as you can see, when you shorten the sides, you're also moving the point here. So just retarget it and then match that perspective line. Making sense? All right, so of course, when establishing lighting and all, this side's going to want to be a little bit darker while this side's going to be a little bit lighter. We can always change that by double clicking on it. So here is the one we want a little bit lighter. Bring it up. You can see it on the fly. Make it just slightly lighter. Other side's going to be, we'll leave it just about, we can make it darker. Let's go ahead and double click it. So that's going to be underneath it. And we're starting to establish one leg of the chair. All right, so then we can start putting a seat back here, other legs right on the side, following this perspective grid. Okay, so wherever this is going to touch right down here, this line is going to be our ground for the actual leg. And actually, let's go ahead and establish it so you can see a little bit better what I'm talking about. So these two represent the legs. Why couldn't we just target this and group them, Command G, and call this one front left leg? Oops. So double click it, front left leg. Duplicate this one, Command J. We're going to call this one rear, and then left leg. You can get rid of the copy if you like. Now, V key, move it on back. Okay? We want to follow this line. If you notice, the foot of this leg is just below this particular green line. So the back of the leg has to follow that line. So open up the rear left leg. Let's start with this one. Actually, we'll start with the front one. It'll be easier. Establish it first. Go to your direct selection tool. Select it. Use your arrow keys. Nudge it up. Remember, it's just below this line. All right, the sides are going to come right below the line. So right about there. Okay. Now we go over to the other side. Select it, move it up, and we're going to get in closer. See, matches your perspective line. There. Now it makes sense. Let's see right up here. I want to bring that down. Okay. Hide it behind the other vector shapes. That should make sense. And of course, this outer leg will be a little thinner because it's going further in the background. So I'm going to select it and move this on over. So keep in mind that when we move these two together, this is going to be distorted just a little bit. So you might want to go ahead and turn on the red. All right. And this is going to match the perspective or the red perspective line. So just match it there. Okay, now this should make sense. It's pretty simple, and you're going to and what you're doing is we're just creating everything off this grid. Now if you use photographic information, which I'm going to show you next, you can you can establish a perspective grid based on your photographic information. Now I have already created a tutorial for that. Now it's on my website. Let me share that to you now. Now, on my website, chromallusion.com, I've created tutorials for you that's going to help you for the 2-point perspective. I go right over here, target the tutorials, and what you want is the advanced class right about here. So what we're doing is we're taking photographic imagery, establishing a vanishing point, 2-point perspective or a single point perspective, and we're creating it, the perspective lines, and then you're able to actually use free transform to mold your secondary imagery to composite into the piece. So all of these videos is addressing that here. So these first top 6. So go ahead and watch these. And this will definitely address the 1-point perspective as well as using photographic imagery to composite with your 2-point perspective that you've already established. Okay, so that should get you started for the 2-point perspective assignment and the 1-point perspective assignment. Enjoy.